Namaste, friends. I want to talk about a few current topics today and share my assessments. And I want to acknowledge that the Karnataka election prediction went wrong, uh, possibly for several reasons, including relying on data that I should not have relied on. Uh, I'm sorry if any of you kept high hopes because of the prediction. And before I start with the predictions, one quick note on the July 21-22 weekend, I'll be holding a Homa workshop at Memphis, Tennessee, in USA. So if anybody is interested, look for details on my Facebook page or Twitter page. I will be announcing them soon. Now, in terms of the predictions, in the annual predictions video, I said that economy will be fine this year, even though economists were predicting a recession at the time. And my I took a fresh look, and my assessment is still the same. Even though there may be some headwinds, even though there may be some ups and downs and shocks to the economy, I expect that economy, especially in US and India, will be able to hold those shocks well and hold good. So I don't expect a major fall or a recession in the economy in the next several months. On June 10th and 11th, I was at Salisbury, Pennsylvania, at Ashvidya Gurukulam, taking part in Jyotish Kumbh Mela. I taught that weekend on Saturday and Sunday, and I took part in a roundtable discussion where I was asked about the rise of artificial intelligence because ChatGPT suddenly became popular recently, and some stocks had a nice run because they're supposed to be associated with AI. Some companies, some tech company stocks. So I was asked to weigh in on this. So just a few thoughts here. In general, whenever Ketu, the planet of disruption, is in the sign of Libra, which is the sign that shows markets, there is some disruptive new technologies that affect the market. And this was one of the reasonings why I was expecting crypto to do well last year and this year. Unfortunately, that did not happen. But the thing is, I think instead of crypto, it is this that is taking off during this Rahu Ketu in Aries and Libra cycle. And particularly in the last few months, since April, Jupiter has joined Rahu in Aries. So Jupiter Rahu combination. Jupiter stands for intelligence, Dhisakti, and Rahu is things that are artificial and technology, high tech, etc. So I believe this Jupiter Rahu conjunction, Guru Chandala Yoga, is what contributed to this rise in the artificial intelligence. Suddenly it became prominent, and also stocks are doing well based on it. So I believe this Jupiter Rahu conjunction is what is fueling the current AI surge. And in the long run, I expect that is here to stay. But the thing is, world's assessment of what kind of change it can make in life and also which companies will benefit from it may not be really accurate. So I expect some correction later on, but the current wave in the stock market based on AI probably will last till December because that is when Rahu will move away from Jupiter into Pisces. That is what I said at the Jyotish Kumbh Mela, June 10th. And also in the same event on June 10th night, I was asked to weigh in on the Odisha train accident, whether it's an accident or whether it could be a conspiracy. What do I see astrologically? So I looked at the fortnight chart for India and I saw some clear signs pointing at a conspiracy. Of course, I will show later in the second part of the video. I will show exactly why I thought so. I do believe that there is a conspiracy, and I do believe that there are some internal and external forces involved in the conspiracy. So I'm afraid this is not just a mistake or technical error. I believe there is a conspiracy behind it. I hope that it comes out in the coming weeks or months. In the annual predictions video, I said that in the spring there was a small window of opportunity for peace in the Ukraine-Russia war. But I also said that even if there is one, there is a peace deal. It will not be long-lasting. The hostilities will resume. Unfortunately, that window has gone. It has nearly passed, without a peace deal. So I'm afraid this war will continue. This will develop into a proxy war between US, NATO on one hand, and China on the other hand. And unfortunately, there will be losses, loss of human life, loss of property, and destruction for Ukraine as well as for Russia during this year. Russia will face some major losses during this year. On that note, in the last 24 hours, there was a lot of tension about potential civil war in Russia because the Wagner mercenary unit chief caused some kind of mutiny and he started marching towards Moscow. But the thing is, of course, now even without astrology, I think now it is settled. But of course, the question remains: is this settled forever, or can there be tension to Putin or a civil war? I do not expect a civil war in Russia during this year. I expect Putin's control over the military and the government in Russia to be strong. There will be some challenges and there will be also some negative mood in the country. People will become nervous about what's going on with Ukraine and there will be some unrest within the country. But politically, at the level of the government and military, I expect Putin to have a firm control over the next 1 year. I don't expect a civil war. I don't expect fall of Putin in this year. Actually, on that note, I'm very close to finalizing the birth time of Putin because the time is not accurately known. Once I'm confident of the time, I'll make a chart on. I'll make a video on Putin's chart. It's a very interesting chart. But for now, I just restricted to charts of Russia, annual charts of Russia for this assessment. And as I mentioned earlier in the annual prediction video, as well as in the last couple of years, India and United States relations will grow stronger through this decade. And recently there was a nice visit of Sri Narendra Modi ji in US. So some Indians may be upset that there are some voices within US that are criticizing India, as well as they may see US as an imperialist power. They may be nervous about aligning with a selfish United States. And also within US, some people may be nervous about aligning with India. But the thing is, this is inevitable. India and US will grow stronger and stronger. The relationship will grow stronger and stronger through this decade. And India will do this without cutting off with Russia and prepare itself to cut off from Russia sometime later this decade. So India will navigate this transition very capably, and India-US relation will grow stronger through this decade. And the current visit is a very important visit. It happened at a very important time, and this will really, really play an important role for India, US, and world in the not only the coming few months but also coming decade. This is a really big deal, even if people may not realize it now. And we will see it when it comes to the 2030, 2031 time frame. People will see. And in West Bengal Panchayat elections, I looked at the daily chart of July 11 for Mamata Banerjee ji as well as BJP party, and it is mixed for both, slightly more positive for BJP. So I don't see either of them being really excited about the results and that euphoria from the results. BJP will probably make some gains and be happy about it, but not really enough to be excited. And Mamata Banerjee will not be excited about the results. And I predicted in the past that this year is problematic for Mamata Banerjee ji with a potential for political fall, and that may or may not be related to these Panchayat elections. It may be something else. There may be some other development which we don't know of yet that causes that. And for Pakistan, the last few months have been really problematic. Unfortunately, after the Independence Day celebrations, things will only get worse. The second half of this year, August to December or so, is really very problematic and terrible for Pakistan. The political chaos will compound. The political leaders will be in deep trouble, and mood in the country will be very bad. Economy will struggle. This is a terrible year for Pakistan, unfortunately. The Manipur clashes. I looked at the annual chart of Imphal, Manipur, the capital, and based on that chart, I will show later why this particular period is when things broke out. This violence broke out, political or tribal violence broke out in Manipur, and unfortunately, the next 2-3 weeks don't look good. I'm not optimistic that some solution can be reached in the next 2-3 weeks. And after July 18 or so, after mid July, there is some potential, but I'm not too optimistic. There is a chance that some external forces, not necessarily outside of India, but outside of Manipur, some external forces will try to keep this alive for a while. That is a there is a clear possibility of that, but there is also a chance of some resolution after mid July. But till mid July, things look really bad. So I pray for the people of Manipur. And in US politics, Biden will become weaker and weaker in the coming months, and I don't see him being a viable candidate in 2024. He may not be a candidate, or if he is a candidate, he will not win. So this is not a good time for Joe Biden, nor for Kamala Harris. And as I said in the past, I expect the legal news around Donald Trump to be strengthened, become stronger and stronger through this year. He's already indicted in 2 cases. He may face further indictments in the rest of this year. Basically, the new year that started for him a few days back is not a good year for him. The legal news will keep tightening. So there is a very clear possibility of Trump dropping out of the race before the primary start or early in the primary cycle, and probably picking somebody else and endorsing him or her. So that's a distinct possibility. But in any case, even if he remains on the ballot, I don't see Trump becoming the president in 2024. And I received a chart of Ron DeSantis from reliable sources, but there is some error in it. I'm trying to correct the time. So once I'm confident, I will make a prediction. After relying on charts without proper rectification and being confident based on the past, in the case of Karnataka elections, I don't want to make that mistake again. So I'll spend enough time on DeSantis chart before I make my assessment of his potential. So I will talk about his chart later. But good thing is I do have a data, and it is probably within 5 minutes. Then I also received a data for Nikki Haley from reliable sources, and I was requested to keep the data confidential, so I won't basically show any analysis in the second half of this video. But in terms of the assessment, she does have potential in 2024. Even though Nikki Haley, who's born to immigrant parents from India in US and was a previous governor and representative of US at UN, she has good credentials, but right now her numbers in the opinion polls are very low, like 2% or so. So clearly Trump and DeSantis are the favorites. But the thing is, she does have some potential. Her chart does show some political power in 2024. She may struggle for the rest of this year. Her numbers may continue to be low till late this year, but there is a chance that she will pick up late this year and do well in the primaries. And if not president, she may be picked as the vice president candidate and become the vice president of US. So there is a good potential for Nikki Haley. But as I get the charts of more key candidates and I am confident of the times of those, I will weigh in more confidently about who I think will be the Republican candidate for the 2024 elections. Now, let us look at the astrological rationale behind some of the assessments that I have shared. This is the Lunar New Year chart of US coming in a couple of weeks. Because the current year is almost over, I will look at the next year. And if you look at the Rasi chart, the second lord of wealth and economy, Mars, he's in the 11th house in an Adhimitra Rasi. He's pretty strong. And in the Hora chart that shows finances, the Lagna Lord Mars is in a friendly sign and in the 9th house. in a trine. So Lagna Lord is in the house of fortune in a friendly sign, and the ninth Lord Jupiter, he's in an inimical sign, but he's in the first house. If you look at the longitudes, you can see that Lagna is at 28 degree Aries, Jupiter is at 7 degree Taurus. So he's actually in the first house. And the other thing is there is a nice Raj Yoga, even though in the eighth house of ups and downs, there is a yoga between the debilitated fourth lord and the fifth lord. Fifth lord shows Purpunya, is very important, and also he shows emotions, which are very important for stock market. And fourth lord, his debility means there's no comfort in the Wall Street. Fourth house shows comfort. So there is no comfort because of his debilitation, but fourth and fifth lord being together is a Raja Yoga. So even though it is in the eighth house, what I expect is amid uncertainties and lot of tensions and worries, economy should hold good. And in the Shashtyamsya chart, which shows the subtle karma, the second lord of wealth, Mercury, is in a friendly sign. Taking the second house as Lagna, Lagna Lord is in the fifth house, which is a good placement, and the fifth Lord is in the 10th house. So I think overall this is a pretty good chart. So I know that economists are expecting a recession to come anytime now, but I don't think basically at least the next few months we'll see the recession. Economy should hold good. And let's quickly check for India. If we make the same chart for India, if I remember right, the Hora chart should be the same. I looked at this at Astrological Gurukulam when I participated in the Jyotish Kumbh Mela. So yeah, it's the same chart. The bhavas are slightly different, but basically Hora chart is the same. And if you look at the Rasi chart, the second Lord Venus is with the Lagna Lord in the fifth house, which is a pretty good placement. And in the Shashtyamsya chart, you can see that the second Lord Mars is not well placed, so there is some undesirable influence there. But the thing is, the bottom line is overall the Hora chart and Rasi chart are positive. So I don't really expect either in India or in US. I don't expect that there will be a recession or major economic setbacks in the next few months. Economy should hold good in spite of all these shock waves. Now let us look at the train accident in Odisha. Let us look at the fortnight chart because it shows important things, major events that happened during the short period of time. So let us make a fortnight chart, go to Monday and the previous fortnight chart. And in the fortnight chart, D16, Shodasamsa. In the case of individuals, this is the chart of Vahanas, vehicles. In the case of a country, this shows the transportation within the country. Ground transportation, flights, etc., trains, buses. So if you look at this chart, you can see that second Lord Jupiter is in the 8th house. That's a Marka combination. And there is also a Guru Chandala Yoga. So this combination of Guru Rahu, and they are within 9 degrees. So it's a pretty reasonably close conjunction. And of course, you can see the other thing, 6th Lord of accidents and the 7th Lord Marka Sun, they are in the 12th house. So these are the real issues. By the way, the second Lord Jupiter is also in a Samsaptaka with the Lagna Lord Saturn. So basically Saturn, Rahu, Ketu and Jupiter axis on the 2nd, 8th house is basically, 8th house is for accidents. 6th and 8th are for accident. 8th is for big mishaps. So I believe this is what caused this basically indicates what happened. And Guru Chandala Yoga, involvement of Rahu there, there is a distinct possibility of a conspiracy rather than an error. And if you look at the Rasi chart, by the way, this combination occurs in the 3rd house of travel. So basically that also adds to it. Basically the vehicular accident happened in a journey, not when they were parked or something. And if you look at the Navamsa chart, which shows your relations, etc., relations with other countries, this is the 12th house. of hidden enemies. And Jupiter is the sixth lord of enemies, and he is taking part in Gurjandala Yoga. So sixth lord of enemies is taking part in a Gurjandala Yoga, and he is involved in that combination in the Shodasamsa, and the sign involved is the 12th house of hidden enemies. So one possible conclusion is that the incident was caused by some hidden enemies, external enemies, as well as some internal enemies colluding, and it is likely to be a conspiracy rather than an innocent mistake or a genuine accident. So that is my astrological assessment. Now let us look at the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So if you look at the soon coming lunar New Year chart of Ukraine for Kiev, Kash for Kiev, Ukraine, you can see that in the Rasi chart, the sixth lord of fights Mercury, the seventh lord of relations and also Maraka Moon, and eighth lord Sun of big disturbances and mishaps. They are all together in the seventh house, in the Maraka house, and seventh and eighth lord being together in seventh house is a Maraka combination, and sixth lord is together with them. And in the Trimshamsha chart, which shows the subtle suffering in the country, the mood in the country, the seventh lord Jupiter is debilitated in the eighth house. That's another Marka combination. And in addition, Shashtyamsa shows the deep karmic momentum of the country during the year. And you can see that the sixth lord of wars, Jupiter, is an inimical sign in the eighth house. And he is involved in a Gurujandala Yoga. So again, there are indications showing that there will be suffering. So this is why I said, when I said that in the springtime there is a window of opportunity for peace, but it won't be long lasting because this New Year chart doesn't really suggest peace. So it is likely that Ukraine will be involved in conflict for the next year at least. And let us look at Moscow's chart. If you look at the same chart for Moscow, lunar New Year chart next. Okay. So again, the Rasi chart is the same, the Trimshamsa chart is the same, the Shashtyamsa chart is different. So if you look at the Shashtyamsa chart, you can see that the Lagna Lord is debilitated in the in an inimical sign, and he is involved in a Guru Chandala Yoga. So that basically shows Lagna Lord in third shows your main focus is on third, which is bravery. So country will be focused on a military conflict, and he is in Mankarka Sthana, so there will be some depression. So some setbacks will be faced by Russia also during the year. And if we look at the chart that shows wars, D11, you see that the sixth lord is in the eighth house, and the seventh and eighth lords are together in Lagna. So that's a Marka combination. So Russia will be involved in a war during this year. This is why I said even if there is some peace in spring period, there was a window of chance that did not happen. It will not be long lasting. It will basically be short lived. So this year is likely to see Russia also engaging in more conflict. So unfortunately, I don't see this ending soon. Both, and the other important point is Russia will also face losses during this year. And let's quickly look at the Dasamsha chart. In the Dasamsha chart, you have some negative combinations like Amavasya Yoga and Lagna, so a lot of political, and Shani Rahu Ketu aspecting Lagna. So some political turbulence within Russia. But the thing is, the 10th Lord shows the current ruler, current executive. So 10th Lord Mercury is in a friendly sign. Sorry, is in an own sign. He is very strong. So the fact that, and also taking the 10th Lord as Lagna, 10th Lord as Lagna to see the ruler. 10th house shows the ruling, how the ruler rules, and 10th Lord shows the ruler himself. So from the 10th Lord as Lagna, Lagna Lord and the 9th Lord Saturn and Rahu are together in the Lagna. So that's a powerful yoga. So I know that today there was a lot of tension about the Wagner chiefs mutiny and marching the army, the Wagner mercenary army towards Moscow, and people were concerned that Putin could fall. looks like it is temporarily resolved, but I don't think going forward also within this year, I don't see a danger to Putin. Based on the last year's annual chart and the coming annual chart, I believe that Putin is safe. There will be some unrest in the country, some political unrest, but he will be able to control it. He will be able to control political opponents as well as the military mutiny, and he will control with iron fist. That is my expectation. I don't see a danger to Putin's control over Russia in the coming year. Now let us try to assess West Bengal Panchayat elections. This is the chart of Mamata Banerjee, and if we look at the Tithi Pravesh chart of July 11, that day starts on the night of July 10. Okay, July 11 is the day when results will be announced in the West Bengal Panchayat elections. If you look at the Rasi chart, you see that the 5th Lord and 10th Lord of fame and career, he's in the 8th house in an inimical sign. He's also actually house-wise, I believe he's in the 7th house. But the thing is, he's in a Gandanta. If you look at Venus longitude, he's in a Gandanta and he's afflicted by Mars. Mars affliction to Venus, Venus is not good, and moreover, the 5th and 10th Lord is in Gandanta, which is not a good sign for good things in career. And the 10th house is afflicted by Saturn, Rahu, Ketu. So, and the 9th Lord of Fortune, Venus, is in the 12th house. But the thing is, the 10th Lord Mercury is okay placed. He's not greatly placed, but he's okay placed in the 3rd house. Mercury overall, and Moon is in Manakaraka Sthana. So if you look at Rasi and Dashamsa, there are mixed indications. There are some positives. What are the positives in Rasi? For example, Lagna Lord is in own sign, and he has a Samsaptaka with Venus. Yeah, not too close, but not too far also. So there is a yoga between the 5th and 10th Lords and Lagna Lord, even though 5th and 10th Lord is in Gandanta. So there are some positives and negatives. This is a mixed chart really. It doesn't show major loss as well as major crushing blow as well as a thumping victory that will make her feel good. And let us now look at the chart of the BJP party. If you look at the chart of BJP party and make the daily chart for them, if you look at the Dashamsha, Lagna Lord is in the 12th house, afflicted by the 8th Lord, not really positive. But the 10th Lord is aspecting the 10th house, which is very positive. So the 5th Lord of fame and success, he is aspecting the 5th house, so that is very positive. And in the Rasi chart, Lagna Lord and the 5th Lord are together, Moon and Jupiter, so that is a positive. But Moon is closely conjoined with 12th Lord Rahu, so that is a negative. There is an eclipse of the 5th Lord. So overall, again, there are positives and negatives in both the charts. But in my assessment, the daily chart of BJP has slightly more positives. So it is likely that neither can say we won this or we feel vindicated. Neither side will have a clear and comfortable victory, and both will have some wins and some losses. This will not be a clear win for either side, but BJP will make some headway in this Panchayat elections, and they can be, though not very satisfied, they can be happy about it. So that is, at least that is how things will look on the first day. Things may evolve later, but on July 11th, that is how things will look like. That is my assessment. And I mentioned earlier that this year there is some risk for Mamata Banerjee's power and control over West Bengal, and based on the annual charts. So based on and natal dashas. So based on the natal dashas and annual charts, that is possible. But the thing is that need not be tied to this particular election. That may be based on some other developments. Now let us look at Pakistan's chart. Let us look at Pakistan's independence chart, and let us look at the Tadka chart of 2023, which is coming soon. The 2022 chart, which is running right now, shows a lot of turbulence, but the next year is even more crazy. So that's why I want to look at the next year. So if you look at the chart that will start in a month and a half or so, you can see that in the Rasi chart, Lagna Lord Sun, he is in Manakarkasthana in the 12th house, and he is also in Gandanta. If you look at the longitudes, he is at 27-degree Cancer. So Lagna Lord in Gandanta in Manakarkasthana is not good for any country, and the 10th Lord of government Venus is in the 12th house. So this is really not good for the ruling class of the country. And the seventh lord, one seventh lord is Saturn, but the other seventh lord is Rahu. He and the eighth lord Jupiter are together. So seventh and eighth lord together is a Marka combination, and also is Gurchandal Yoga. So there are some really severe combinations in the Rasi chart. And if you look at the Dasamsa chart, in the Dasamsa chart, you will see that the Lagna Lord Mars, he is afflicted by Saturn and Rahu, Badhakas, Saturn and Rahu. So there is a 4 malefic, Saturn, Mars, Rahu, Ketu on the 8th house axis. So this is a 8th house is very, 8th and 2nd house are very prominent. And also the 5th Lord of Paurpunya, Sun is in Manakarkasthana, afflicted by the Maraka Venus, 2nd and 7th Lord. So overall, this is a really crazy year for the political stability of Pakistan. Pakistan will struggle politically during this year. And also, if you look at the Trimsamsa chart, which shows the subtle mood in the country, the 7th Lord Mercury, 8th Lord Moon are together in the 2nd house. That's a clear Marka combination, and they are reflecting the debilitated Lagna Lord. So there will be, the country will feel like it is under siege, and politics will be really turbulent. The coming year, the last few months have been really terrible for Pakistan, but unfortunately, I'm afraid the coming year, from this August to next August, is really a terrible year for Pakistan, when there will be lot of chaos. Now, let us look at the Manipur violence that has been plaguing the northeastern state of Manipur of India over the last month and a half or so. So if we make the previous Lunar New Year not for New Delhi but for Imphal, which is the capital of Manipur state, because it is away from New Delhi, several divisional charts will be different. Actually, even Rasi chart has a different Lagna. But anyway, we'll focus on the Dasamsa chart, because this is really a political issue. This is basically a demand of a tribe for a scheduled tribe status and protests, etc. So if you look at the Dasamsa chart, you can see that the 7th Lord Jupiter and the 8th Lord Mars are together in the 8th house. So that's a clear Marka combination. So this is a problematic combination, and also the 12th Lord Sun is debilitated and he's on the axis. It just adds more fuel to the fire, but 12th house shows external influences. Now let us look at the Dasas. Simply Vimshotri Dasha will apply in this chart. So if we make the Vimshotri Dasha of the Dasamsa, Mars Dasha was from April 15 to May 8. This is when the tension started. I think April 20, there was April 20 or so, there was a judgment from a court, and that basically triggered things. And late April there were more tensions, and early May is when the violence erupted and it has increased. And if you look at Rahu, Rahu is the 6th Lord in the 5th house of Purva. So basically he can keep giving more fights, etc. And unfortunately, that Dasha is running right now, and the next Dasha is that of Jupiter, and Jupiter is the Marka, 7th Lord in the 8th house. So that's not really a pleasant Dasha either. Let us look at one thing. In the Rasi chart, Mars is with Rahu and he is the 9th Lord in 9th. 9 shows Dharma. Dharma is not just religion but basically various structures and orders that make up a society. So all the tribes, etc., that basically can also be indicated by Mars. So this tension, this Marka combination, this political tension is relating to the 9th house. And secondly, interesting thing is, if you look at Navamsa, Navamsa has Mars in the 12th house. So that Mars in the 12th house, 12th Lord in the 12th house, is touching the Marka combination here. So it shows some hidden enemies are from enemies from outside. 12th house By the way, this is not necessarily outside of India, but outside of the state of Manipur. So there are some forces, external forces that are meddling in the Manipur tensions. That is what the Navamsa chart indicates. So unfortunately, till the end of this lunar year, things don't look good. But unfortunately, even if you look at the next year, Lagna chart has Guru Chandala Yoga, Rashi chart has Guru Chandala Yoga. In the Dashamsa chart, you have 8th Lord Moon in the Lagna, 8th Lord and 7th Lord Samtaptaka, and various planets on this axis. So this is really a troublesome year. I'm not really hopeful that things are. Oh, by the way, we didn't look at the Trimsyamsa previously. Let's look at Trimsyamsa here. So if you look at the Trimsyamsa, you see that this looks, yeah, Lagna Lord is in the second house and he's debilitated, so that's not really a positive thing. And if you look at the previous year's Trimsyamsa, you see that Mars and Saturn are reflecting Scorpio, which is an evil sign. So there are basically several negative indications, and the next year doesn't look too good, unfortunately. But the blessing is the Lagna Lord is in the 11th house, aspecting the 5th house, and the 9th Lord Sun is in the Lagna. So there are some positives also. So I haven't done a deep study, but based on what I have seen, it looks like at least for a couple more weeks things are not good. And after July 18, there is some hope, but still this year is not a great year. I hope that the Indian leaders can find a solution to this problem. But in general, for the next couple of weeks, it does look bad. Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Krishnarpanamastu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. Yavad Bhumandale Sanatan Dharmo Vardhatu. Visheshatah Bhartakhande. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much.